Before I get started, I want to share a little story, and it's apropos that I asked Amanda to come out here because it kind of deals with her. I started Amanda off cooking, how long ago, Amanda? 20 years ago, right? We played a little game because my wife was busy. I had 3 children. My son's not here. He's off at college as well. I have 3 in college, by the way. Yes, I know. But we played a game. It's called Big Chef, Little Chef. I was Big Chef. My daughter Amanda was Little Chef, and my son Jordan was Baby Chef. He was like 2 or 3 years old, and his job was to taste the food. So since that time, my daughter and I have been cooking. It's something we relate to, started her off in her culinary experience. And recently, I've been making a lot of salsa. Anybody here homemade salsa maker, right? Yeah, right? We all, right? So I'm sitting there, and after years and years and years, I'm cutting my tomatoes, and my daughter comes home, and she's just looking at me, just butchering these tomatoes, the jalapenos aren't being cut right. I'm not sure when you chop it really tiny. What's that called?
Mincing.
Mincing it, right? I'm not mincing the cilantro at all very well, right? And then I go over to my daughter's house, and she's got these beautiful cuts, and everything's julienne, everything's precise. I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I taught her. I was like, well, why can't I do this? What's going on? So she finally comes over and she starts working on this, right? And the first thing she looks at, she makes a cut. She goes, "What is this?" I go, "It's a knife." "What do you mean, what is it?" She goes, "It's like a butter knife. You can't cut anything with this." How many years has it been since I sharpened my knives? 8 years, right? These things were as dull as you can imagine. The reason I bring this story up, just like a culinary student, if your tools aren't sharpened, right? If you're not honing those skills, or honing that tool, that knife, your salsa is going to be a big sloppy mess like mine was, right? All uneven, all uncut. So it's the same principle behind that. Every profession, regardless if you're an engineer, regardless if you're in real estate, if you're in the newspaper and publications, we all have to keep our knives sharp, right? So that kind of reminded me when you were doing the catering here today, Amanda, why we're doing this, right? Because we all need to practice certain things. And presentation styles is no exception. So without any further ado, let's get started. So, everybody's here thinking there's some secret formula, some secret sauce, some secret magic, and I hope I provide a little insight to that. But most of what I'm going to tell you is pretty basic, right? The things we do and the way we present is a very unique experience. So, points we're going to cover real quick. Understanding presenting, types of presentations, styles of presentations, do's and don'ts of presenting, right? And keys to some killer presentations, right? So we don't want to overcomplicate things. We're going to just try to cover 5 things. My biggest challenge is not speaking too fast because I get very excited about what I do. And the opportunity to be in front of a group like you is humbling, it really is. And believe it or not, I do get nervous. I'm not sure if you can tell, but right now I'm a little nervous at the start of most presentations. I do get nervous. And one of the things you'll see as I get more comfortable is I'll start taking my hand out of my pocket. Right now, that's my little safety zone right there, right? It's just, I put it in here and I feel much more comfortable and much more at ease. So the first tip I'm going to give you is find your comfort zone. Find something that is natural looking, right? That you can do that doesn't draw attention but makes you feel calm. And my hand in my pocket is what does it for me. So I just gave you one of my tells. So pretty soon you're going to see me doing this and you're like, oh, he's comfortable now. Right? So, why present? You said a couple of things here, right? You're presenting again, and you were looking for something new, right? Mm-hmm. Why are you presenting them? What's the reason for presenting?
I was invited to present.
Okay.
I was given the opportunity to speak, and I haven't done it in a while.
Okay. Are you looking to get something else out of it yourself?
Business.
Oh, well, can't argue with that. One after my own heart.
I want to be different than the other presenters.
Oh, uniqueness.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Share why they're presenting them? Some ideas behind it?
And it's a very fine line when you do that, as you know, when you're educating and at the same time you're doing it for a reason.
Yes.
Very fine line.
Oh, one thing. You'll be noticed, more memorable. We present because we want to stand out. Right? It takes a lot of nerve, courage to get up in front of an audience and speak. Not just an audience, but even at your workplace. Right? It doesn't have to be a room of 20 people or 200. It could be just 2 people you're presenting to. A customer talking about insurance. Right? That's a presentation. Right? We may not think about it because it's more of an intimate setting. But a presentation doesn't have to be to a room full of people. Right? Also, grow your network. That's one of the things I most enjoy about when I do presentations. I get to meet a great many extraordinary people. I met Carlos that way, I met Rocky that way, Neri that way, and I've had an opportunity now to meet the rest of you. Sylvia? All right? That was a great time, our first opportunity to go speak at the Hispanic Business Chamber of Commerce. So thank you for that. I was just starting out in the NHSN, so it was a great opportunity for us to get in front of a lot of people in a short amount of time. SMEs? Anybody, when I use acronyms, do you know what SMEs are? Everybody raise your hand. Subject matter experts? Okay. Come on, blurt it out. No, we're a small group. You don't have to worry about saying anything. But subject matter experts, you're viewed upon as that. The minute you get in front of somebody and start explaining something or demonstrating something or showing them something, you're looked on as an expert. Whether you are or aren't, they look upon you as that. Now, they give you that benefit of the doubt. It's up to you to earn it and keep it. Remember that, all right? Also, you're looked on as a leader, someone who is not afraid to step up, do the presentation, right? Become a better negotiator. A lot of people don't understand how this connects with presenting because they think of negotiation and influencing as a very intimate. But once you've learned to present, you start learning how to read body language. You can look at audiences, you can see if they're engaged, right? There's certain tells that you start becoming familiar with, the nodding of heads, the leaning back. Right, when I start disengaging people, I can tell right away. They start pulling phones up. They start doing the, right? You know, is he going to catch me? Call me out on this? Right? I know I've lost them at that point, right? That's when I get into the whole engagement. Everybody up, right? And I started trying to get some more energy involved in the room, right? Because I've lost them, right? I got to figure out how to get them back. But by learning how to do that, by learning those tells, if you will, you can start becoming a better influencer and a better negotiator because you understand what the parties are looking to accomplish. What's their interest points, right? Why are they there? What are you trying to negotiate? So presenting offers you the opportunity to do that on a larger scale than by doing it on one-on-one. Here I'm learning to read a whole room at a time versus just an individual one at a time. And obviously, to be able to sell yourself. That's the one thing we all do, right? How many people here would consider themselves in sales? Okay. The rest of you, you're delusional. You are all in sales. If I have to pound that in you before you leave today. You are all in sales. Every day you're selling something. Right? And the crazy thing about sales is people love to buy. Right? They love to buy. When you buy something new, look at the new phone I got the iPhone 6. Right? Yeah. People love that, right? But God, they hate to be sold. Damn, you sold me. Why is there a negative connotation to that? It's the same transaction, right? To be sold and to have bought, right? But one has a negative connotation. As a professional salesperson, your goal, your job, is to make that person feel like they bought it, not that they were sold. And that's tough to do in a presentation, by the way, right? Because up here,
perception.
Exactly. So, these are just some of the reasons why we do presenting. While you take the nerve, tighten the belt up, stand up straight, and say, all right, I'm going to go up there and I'm done, right? There are many, many more reasons. And for each of you, it's your job to find out why. What purpose and goal does it set for yourself and the value it brings? Types of presentations. This one's long, right? I mean, you've got, the entertain. Oh, see, I knew that was going to happen. Uh-oh. This is going to be tricky. Huh. Okay, we're going to have to go faster because I'll email this to all of you, I promise. So, please skip that. Okay, to inform, to entertain, to persuade, to inspire, to instruct, to ask for the decision. You've been in meetings where, I think you mentioned you're meeting with certain individuals.
Right, at the annual meeting.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to ask for decisions.
Right.
Right? Those types of presentations are a little more difficult because you can't walk away until the decision is made.
Right.
And a lot of times there's debate, there's quite more questions. Can we table it for next time? No, a decision has to be made. So those are some of the tougher ones. I don't know if you guys can recognize some of the people here, right? But to me, the inspiration one, the Pope, I mean, just to hear, how can you not be inspired, right? Right? You know, some people say he's not selling anything. I disagree, but either way, he's very inspiring, regardless of your faith. style of presenters. This is the one that is extremely unique. Are you guys familiar with the DISC system? You got dominance, influence, conscientious, steadiness. Okay, it's kind of a Myers-Briggs self-portrait, understanding where you're at. There's no wrong or right way to present, right? You will never be a presenter that I am. Not because I'm good or great or anything like that. It's only because this is my style. This is what I do. These are my subjects that I'm comfortable with discussing. And my personality that I bring to that presentation. It's up to you to figure out what area you find here. Now, the ones that are down here, those are the ones that speak like this and tend to put you to sleep because they have no real communication skills and don't understand voice inflections, and they just ramble on in the same monotone voice. How many people have been in a presentation like that? Yeah. Those are the ones where the phone comes out. You're like, what the hell? Right? There's no passion. There's no nothing, no excitement. But if you're giving a intellectual briefing on something that's extremely important, maybe that's the type of mood you have to be in, right? There is a time and a place for that kind of presentation. I don't find them useful because most of the presentations I do not fall into that quadrant. Mine are very exciting, very passionate, things that I'm very interested in. I don't talk a lot about technical details. But if you're in a case where you are, you may have to be a little more monotone. You may not be able to show as much passion. But show a little. Show a little. Elements of a presentation. This is where you guys are going to construct it. Now this, every freshman in high school English class is going to tell you, right? You got your introduction. You got your key points, topics, right? You got your conclusions, right? Your recommendations. The next three elements are a little trickier, right? Oh, two. Speaking voice. As you guys can tell, I'm pretty dynamic. I like to get loud and be heard. I've never used... Did I ever need a microphone back in the day, right? I don't need a microphone. I don't care how many people are in the room. I will project as loud as I have to be heard in the back of the room because I'm comfortable doing it that way. And I don't like microphones. I don't know why. I just never got used to it or understand. Yeah?
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it. So everybody falls under one of those four things? Or is
No. I wish it were that simple.
No.
Most people fall somewhere in here. You tend to be...
Uh-oh.
Embedded. So, plan B. You won't get to see my presentation, but we will get through it because I have it online. So, my apologies, sincerely. This is one of those technical difficulties I did not plan on. I was hoping I had enough juice on my battery or my laptop. So, you were talking about the presentation style and the different quadrants. What those quadrants are, the dominance, the influence, the conscientiousness, the steadiness, right? Those are just specific characteristics of a person. They don't necessarily fall into one or the other. You're usually a combination of multiple. And you fall into different combinations based on the stress you're under. So you could be one way in a private setting, one way with your personal friends, right? You could be a total different way when you're up here presenting. I've been able, believe it or not, I'm actually an introvert. There he laughs, because he's like, no, he's not. I've seen it. Ask my kids. When I'm at home working on my car, working on my basement for hours on end, no people around, I am happy. I don't have to be on. I don't have to be impressing anybody. I don't have to worry about what language I'm using. I can drop the F-bomb. Didn't do it. Anytime I want, right? I'm by myself. Oh, I messed that up, right? But that's me, right? But I chose a profession I'm not allowed to be an introvert in. So I've been trained to be this way. I have been fortunate enough to raise in an era back in the 80s and 90s where they sent me to Dale Carnegie. They sent me to Tom Hopkins. They sent me to all these spin training classes. I was made this way. I wasn't born this way. I've been trained and developed. Why are you laughing? Come on.
No, I mean, I'm just thinking. Nothing.
No, what? The only way you can be trained into doing something like this is if you want to be. If you have no interest in it and you don't want to be trained in it, you will never succeed at it because you're resenting it already. But if you understand this is what you have to do, I have to go learn to present. It's either for my job, to get ahead, whatever it is, right? You will learn how to enjoy it. Make it part of you and not dread it, right? So did that kind of answer your question? I know with all the different styles, it's a little unique. I highly recommend either taking a disc or a Briggs Meyer, or what's the other one? There's there's a third one out there. I can't remember the other one. But there's different personality portraits or tests that you take that tells you what kind of personalities you have. And it's funny, after you take them a while, and I've taken quite a few, you actually can know what the employer usually is looking for, and I've learned to answer those questions. You're laughing, right? But you've probably done it too. I know what they want. I know what they're looking for. Like with salespeople, they want aggressive, be able to influence, make decisions, right? Know what hard work is not afraid of the phone. All those different things. I see those lists, and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And they ask it in 20 different ways. How many calls have you made in a day? You know, what's the least amount of calls that you ever made, right? They ask it in 20 different ways, but it's the same question. And once you take the time to do a few of those tests, you'll start knowing how to read them. But if you do it that way, that's not giving a true assessment of you, right? So it's a catch-22. The first time, take it with an open mind and try not to guess what they're trying to find out and just answer the questions. Once you do a few of them, and if you're doing it for jobs, then start being able to play with it, knowing, okay, if I answer this way, that's the kind of personality trait they're looking for. All right, so have you ever taken one, Sylvia?
No.
No? Anybody else have taken one of those? Sure. I highly recommend it if you have. So we were talking about the elements of a presentation. We're talking about speaking voice. It's talking about how big and booming. The other one is body language, right? As you guys can see, I'm kind of energetic. I'm not the stand at the podium and reside over everybody. All right, I'm here to inform you of how to present. That's not my style, right? I walk around. I'm almost to the point where I'm almost a little too much nervous energy, right? So that's one of the things I have to learn about myself, to draw myself back sometimes, calm myself down, right? Try not to get too much into the moment, because I can get very excited easily. I don't know if that's from my sports days when I was playing linebacker at high school and I just wanted to hit somebody and they'd go, yeah, right? I don't know where that came from. It's just an aggressive style I have that I sometimes, like I said, have to pare down. The last point that was on the screen was practice. How many here have ever role-played an interview? Wow, I'm impressed. Wow. Last time I asked that question a couple years ago, like 3 people in the room were gutsy enough in there. Congratulations. That's one of the hardest things to do is prepare for an interview, right? And practice it, because most people find it awkward. Like, well, what questions do you want me to ask you? Your partner, whoever that may be, right? A friend, a colleague, a spouse. Ask me these questions, right? Look for these answers. How to deliver them. How to say them. Have something prepared already. Practice is the key to almost anything. Anybody want to guess at how many hours I've been practicing this presentation?
8.
Oh, God, you don't give me enough credit. Jeez.
I don't know. No, you said it was the first time, so probably a lot.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm giving this presentation. I've presented on many topics, as I think Sylvia knows. But actually presenting, which I find totally ironic. I was like, man, I'm just ready. It's like putting yourself out there and go, okay, he's going to list all these things. If he doesn't do them, he's not good. Right? So, right, yeah. So maybe that's why I turned it off, so you guys can't remember what's on the screen, right?
Clever.
Yeah, exactly. But I've actually spent 40 hours putting this together.
Whoa.
Yeah. Between the research I did on presenting, all the key facts, I wish I could show you some of the things I put together, but it's not there. The next one is actually an example of bad presentations, and I think we kind of joked around about them. The quiet guy that stands up there and all that. Then you have the other guy that's so fast you don't understand what he's saying because he doesn't know when to stop it. He's going to talk. You're like, what the hell is he talking about? All right? You have all kinds. I'll share with you a story. My worst presentation that I can remember, and there have probably been many, but the one that I remember most. Anybody ever been to Toastmasters? Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, you guys are, again, ahead of the game. Bravo. For those who haven't, I highly recommend it. Get you out of your fears and stuff. Yeah. I had been practicing Toastmasters, and I was getting really good at it, getting a little confident. I was like, I can do this. And I was asked to speak at a high school as the, I forget what they're called now, commencement address. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be awesome. I get to share my life story with these kids. I'm going to go up there, and it's going to be great. I prepared maybe 10 minutes in the car before I went in there. You're laughing because you know exactly what happened, right? I mean, I was up there, and it was like, well, it's kind of like, I must have said 50 times in the first 2 minutes. And after a while, you just saw the teachers all just going like this, and the person who invited me going, man. I start sweating. I mean, talk about the proverbial crash and burn, right? Horrible. They never called me back. I've never heard from my colleague who was working with that school. It was horrible. It was the worst. I swore that day I would never be underprepared. This crap may happen, right? power goes out, I didn't bring, okay. Life happens occasionally, right? I thought I charged the battery. Apparently I didn't. I don't know what happened. But in regards to the material I'm presenting, I can have a discussion with the best presenter in the world, and I will be on par. I've known all the pros, the cons, the reasons why, the do's, the don'ts, the ifs and buts, the whys and hows. That's what I do to prepare now. And for every first time I present something, I try to spend at least 3 weeks, 10, 12 hours a week preparing myself, right? Just reading and reading and reading and knowing the material. And so from that standpoint, right, that practice, right, that knowledge makes me very comfortable in doing this. Right? Now the second time I do a presentation, I don't have to do it as study or practice as hard. Right? Then I cut down to about 10 hours just to refresh everything. Right? But I start still always 2 to 3 weeks in advance. So that's kind of an example of like a bad presentation, and it was my worst and horrible one, and I'm glad it wasn't in front of a different colleague and stuff. The next part here is going to be part of what we call the essential keys we were talking about, right? The secret sauce. It's really not as secret as everybody thinks, right? The first part of it is clarity. When I say clarity, anybody want to give me an idea of what I'm talking about, clarity?
You know exactly what you're talking about, so you're not rambling all over the place.
Correct. Clarity is obviously speaker voice, tempo, so people understand you. But clarity is clarity of thought, clarity of purpose, clarity of what you want to accomplish. Because if you wander off too much and you go on too many different tangents, you're going to lose your audience. There's a great example. Everybody familiar with Steve Jobs, Apple?
Yes.
Anybody remember how he introduced the iPod? This is years ago. He could have come out and talked about how many gigabytes it has and how great it was, and it was, whatever. He came out on stage, right? And I don't have an iPod, so I apologize. And it's, it's a lot smaller than this, right? Or the first one was. It was about half, 3/4 second. 1,000 songs in your pocket. That's how he introduced it. He captivated the world with that statement. 1,000 songs in your pocket. 1,000. Everybody remember the Walkman? How many songs did you get there? A dozen? If you crammed the tape full, maybe 15? Right on the list, they were all 2-minute songs and you got 20. Right? But 1,000 songs. Again, I'm a little older. But 1,000 songs in your pocket. The power of that statement, it was simple, it was clear to the point. There was no need to go into the technology behind it and what it was able to do it, how you downloaded the songs. He didn't get into any of that. Welcome. So for me, Steve Jobs is like one of the most poignant of individuals when it comes to clarity and purpose of thought, right? The next one is a favorite of mine. Passion. Be passionate in your presentation. Have a vested interest. Right? Whether you bomb or not, show some emotion. And now, I have to warn you, it's difficult to do in certain situations. If you're sitting in front of board members, if you're sitting in front of executives, you're sitting in front of individuals that you're talking about their livelihood. Passion can come across in different ways. It doesn't mean you have to be excitable or loud or anxious or full of energy. Passion can mean a lot of different things. Can anybody share a story with them about when you were delivering something, a presentation or something that they were passionate about?
When I first started with Primerica, I went to a convention. And when I came back, I was excited because of, being able to help people, help families. Well, I was talking to a cousin that I really don't talk to. And I was all pumped up. I was telling her about it, and you need to do this, that, and the other. And she's like, I don't do that. I don't need any insurance. I don't, And I'm like, I was so pumped up. I was so into it. I was so passionate and believed in it. And even today, when people say no, and I'm like, how could you not?
Yeah.
So that was 8-9 years ago, and I still do the same thing now.
Yeah.
It just, I'm like, calm down. It's okay.
Well, because it's one thing to be passionate, but it's another thing not to understand what the audience is looking for, or what the person you're presenting to is looking for. You can be as passionate as the next person, but if they don't have any interest in what you're talking about, I don't care how passionate you are, they're not going to care, right? So you have to temper that passion, that emotion, right? But I do strongly recommend find a way to make it mean something to you. Take personal stake in the presentation, right? Relevancy. Yes?
I have a question. Do you recommend adding a short video to a presentation if you want to make a point, or that probably going to confuse the audience, or it depends?
It depends.
Okay.
It all depends on what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. Nowadays with social media, people love videos, right? But if you put a video that's too long or not to the point, you're going to have more people talking about, I didn't get it, I don't know what it means, what does that rely on? And it actually goes great to the point I was just going to make, relevancy. If you're going to use that video, you're going to use any kind of prompt or anything, it's important that it's relevant, that they understand the connection between what you're showing them, that video, as well as the presenting or the information you're trying to share with them. Because remember, go back to Steve Jobs. 1,000 songs in your pocket. He could have showed a video. I mean, come on, this is Apple. He's got access to any kind of technology he wants. He could have had the friggin' Air Force flying by, the Thunderbirds, and whatever, Thunderbirds are Navy, if I'm not mistaken, right? But he had all that at his access and his fingertips, but he went straight out there of himself, the big Apple white logo behind him, right? And that was all he had. And he carried out his iPod. So, yes, it is powerful if you can do it, but be very, very careful, because either it's going to take away from your message or it's going to confuse people. And don't make it more than
30 seconds?
Yeah, 30 seconds, kind of give or take somewhere in there. If you've got a 2-minute video, man, it better be good. Right? You better have, Jennifer Lopez on there. I mean, you got to have some stars on there to keep people, captivated. So that goes to the point about relevancy and stuff. Interaction. That's one of the other key points. You guys can see I'm a pretty interactive person. I try to draw you into the conversation. It does two things for me. Right? One is it helps me kind of guide my presentation so I know what you're about, right? Some of the concerns and thoughts. But two, it also relaxes me because I feel like I'm more in a conversation than actually presenting up here in front of a large audience. The larger the audience, the more difficult it is to do because you just can't engage everybody as you can in a... So, yeah.
How can you interact in a virtual presentation when you're actually not seeing the faces of anybody? So,
Questions.
what would be the best way?
Questions. And not the vague, does everybody get what I said? Right? Is there any questions? You love that one, right? Are there any questions? And you just hear...
Yeah.
Little squeaks of silence at the other end. Yeah, exactly, right? What you want are specific questions, right? So make sure you know one or two people in the group that you're presenting to on a virtual call. So if it's me, say me and Neri. Neri, what I just said to you, can you please let me know what your thoughts are on that? Or do you have any examples? Because like right now when I asked, is there anybody want to share an example of, not clarity, passion, right? Those are the kind of questions you want to ask, especially on virtual, because you don't want you to be just the only one talking. Because you'll go through a virtual presentation and you'll be the one talking and you have no clue if those people are there or they put you on mute and are typing up emails. How many people have done that? Come on. If you haven't done that, you're lying.
Because it's too long.
I've done it, yeah. Especially when my sales manager gets on the phone, we start going into monthly detail of every freaking call and you're like, oh God, mute. Right? We've all been there.
Yes.
So engagement virtually is extremely important. And the length of time you're on that call. It's extremely important not to make virtual calls too long. I'm sorry? Oh, no.
He's interrupting.
No, I thought, if it's important, share.
I said that you put the phone in mute, and then somebody asks you, hey, Andres, what do you think about that? And you're like, I agree. 100%.
Right, because they ask you a very simple question, right?
Right.
Does everybody get that, right? Ask very poignant questions. Neri, can you elaborate that? Did you have a situation that you can share with us? Right? Be very specific in what you had to draw them out into that. Because if you ask a general question, they're going to give you the, no, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm with you. Yeah, sure you are. You're nodding off watching reruns of freaking whatever TV show. The Walking Dead, yeah. Zombies are big. The last one is, and I think I've probably made this point very clear, know your material. Know your material. As I said, I practiced for this event? For this? 40 hours. It basically became my job to know this stuff. To talk about all the different types of presenters, the importance, the influencers, why is it important to you. I just did a carbon set. I turned my back on that. My apologies. I have to learn to walk backwards. I haven't practiced that very much yet. I tend to pace. But knowledge of your material, right, is extremely important. If you don't know it, You do exactly what I did at that high school. And the crazy part, I was just talking about myself. That would be the easiest of presentations, right? But I didn't know how to make it relevant to those kids, right? I didn't know how to draw them in. I didn't care what they thought. I was there to talk about me. And then when I saw it in their eyes, and I didn't know how, how to connect, exactly. I did not know how to do that. I don't think you guys can see this, but I had some pictures up here. This is the part that's actually visual aids would help. I put down some of the great speakers that we've had today. Martin Luther King, I have a dream. All you have to do is say that word and people know exactly who you're speaking about, right? Does anybody know Wendy Sherman? Secretary of Affairs. She's working on the Iraq nuclear disarmament. Talk about a presenter, negotiator. Get a chance, watch her. Man, she's a cool. Wendy Sherman, Secretary of Affairs. She's so cool. Man, I had her skills. Oh, man, I'd be running companies instead of working for them. All right, Les Brown. Everybody knows Les Brown, right? Representative from Ohio. Man, it's like delivering a sermon. You gotta love him, right? John F. Kennedy. Les Brown?
No.
No.
I thought you said one after that.
No.
About to.
Yes. John F. Kennedy?
Yes.
Right? Ich bin ein Berliner.
I am a donut.
I'm sorry?
That's what he said, I am a donut.
Exactly. But in Germany,
He meant to say, I'm from Berlin.
yeah. But he said a Berliner is a donut. But he captivated a whole country. I'm half German, for those of you who don't know. And I had a grandmother who passed away several years ago. But she loved John F. Kennedy. She wore one of the silver dollars, or half dollars, a silver one, on her necklace, on a chain on necklace, the entire time I'd known my grandmother. The entire time. She wore that. She loved John F. Kennedy. He made one speech in Germany and said it wrong. And then, exactly. He connected with them. He knew what they were talking about. Right? Even in the language he didn't understand. As far as I know, Kennedy didn't speak German. I got one up on him. I speak German. So. Tony Robbins, right? Yeah. Everybody knows Tony Robbins. Personal favorite of mine, and I don't know if you got a chance to be to any of our events, Victor Antonio.
Yeah.
You guys have? Sales Influence, check it out. He gives them all for free now. Just go online. Victor Antonio, he's presented at both of our national conferences. He's come here and done workshop on sales negotiations. He is my freaking idol. He walks in the room and it's like, oh. I want to grow up and be him. I'm 50 years old and I still want to grow up. Victor Antonio's presentations are dynamic, they're engaging, he knows his audience, and he's also one of the few Latinos in the sales profession. That makes me extremely proud to have known him and an opportunity to work with him. So I highly recommend having an opportunity to check out his videos and stuff. I've got a couple more pictures up here. Stephen Hawking.
Yes.
Do you know Stephen Hawking? I'm going to say that. Astrophysicist. Thank you very much. He's like freakishly smart. Do you think he can give a dynamic presentation physically? No. But he overwhelms you with what? His intellect, right? His passion, right? This man, and I don't mean to poke fun at him, but he's in this fetal position his entire life, speaks to this box. Right, now you know what I'm talking about, right? That's why the pictures help. When you see the pictures, you're like, oh, I know him, right? When he gives a presentation, right, and talks about the universe, the time continuums, and physics, you're just drawn. I don't understand half. You would probably understand it because you're an engineer. I have no clue what he's talking about. But it just sounds so cool, and the depth of his knowledge. There's parallel universes. Did you just hear about what he said about the parallel universe and the band that just broke up? Was it?
One Direction.
One Direction?
No, what did he say?
He said he told the young ladies that were asking about it, don't worry, in another parallel universe, he's still with One Direction. Rest assured he's with. And in fact, he's even married to you in this other universe, right? And everybody just lost it because in a parallel universe, it could be almost anything, right? But his depth of knowledge, he does. And it's deceiving because it's at such a high end. Like this, must be like joking around with Einstein or something, right? You just don't get the jokes, but you know they're funny. You're just like, I'm just not smart enough to get it. So those are the kinds of people that if he can make a great presentation with all those physical attributes against him, then he can't even speak. He uses a voice box. There's no excuse for you not to. But he is a SME, right? When you talk about subject matter expert, he's like #1 on that field. There's no one higher, right? So anyway, I'll show you these pictures and you can take a look at it. The next couple of keys, the first part of it is it's sheer guts. Just do it, right? You don't like Nike saying, right? Do a swoosh, just do it. Get the first presentation out of your way, right? I encourage everybody here, and when I say first presentation, don't do it on the first corporate function you're going to or volunteer. No. Go speak at your church. You go speak at your old high school, right? Go somewhere where there's people that want to see you succeed. Because in a corporate environment that you're presenting, I guarantee you half the people there are hoping you bomb because they want your freaking job, right? So I would recommend that being your first place, right? But get the courage to go do it. That's why when we talk about Toastmasters, they force you to get up. They give you a subject matter that's irrelevant, and you just get up and start, learning how to present. You find your style. You find your voice. You find how to use your voice inflection, right? Me, I still have to rein myself in. Right? Because you can see I get into this, right? I get very passionate and very excitable about these things. But I urge you to find an opportunity to practice. Find your speaking voice. Find your demeanor. Find your style and your personality trait, that the style that you are when you're presenting. It doesn't have to be you who you are. As I mentioned, I'm happiest in a garage replacing my brakes and listening to my, Santana in the background. No one around me. I'm so comfortable in that environment. But that's not the field I chose. So I had to go and learn how to do this. And I recommend having the courage, the fortitude, whatever you want to call it, to go out and just do the first one. Get experience doing it. All right? And then from there on, keep putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Make yourself do them. Don't avoid them. Don't hide from them. Right? You will benefit immensely from it. Since joining the NHSN or co-founding it 7 years ago, I have never had to look for a job since. I just have to let someone know I'm looking to make a change, and my phone starts ringing like crazy. No offense to the insurance companies, financial advisors in the room, but God, they want me so bad. They think I can sell the whole NHSN database of the 3,000 people in there. They think they're all just in my back pocket going, sure, what do you want me to sell to them? Sure, they're going to buy from me, of course. No, don't work that way. You guys know that. But it's funny, when I put myself out there, the first thing that calls are insurance companies and financial institutions. Because they know the bigger your network, the more people you have to bring to the table to go sell. And it's a numbers game at that point. And they know that. So they try to find the people with the biggest numbers. And when you find an organization like the NHSN, you have big numbers. Okay, so that's one of them, the courage to do it, right? My apologies. We'll screen it down here too. Oh. What did I just do? Yeah, but I read it because I couldn't remember what was next.
Don't do it.
Don't do what I just did, right? Use it as a key, just to glance back and know where your train of thought is so you don't filter off and flutter off like a butterfly in the wind. But don't read your presentation, because how many people you see standing and going, empowered by innovation. NEC provides great technology, and they just start sitting there reading it off, and you have, 50 freaking bullet points up there, and you're like, what's that bullet point? Right? You're like, what? Just give me the damn presentation, and I'll read it, right? I mean, why do that? I have a lot of pictures in mind. I like life pictures of real individuals, right? Sometimes cartoons, but I enjoy putting those in there because they invoke an emotion. They invoke specific situations, right, that allow people to talk about them, allow me to talk about them, provide stories. So, don't read, which is actually what I'm going to do again. I mentioned this a little bit a while ago. Other than in corporate settings where you're not 100% sure of the people's motives around you, the audience wants to. Anybody here want to see me bomb this presentation? Really? Right? You're all pretty much hoping I do a good job. You want to be a little entertained, don't you? Right? You want to feel like this was worth your time coming out here right on a Tuesday. Hard time parking. Anybody have a hard time parking? I had a pain. Oh, God, I did something wrong. Man, I had the hardest time parking. Oh, God, it's horrible. Anyway, you want to feel like you gained something out of this, right? The audience wants you to succeed. Remember that when you present. They're not there to watch you crash and burn. Now, there are some sick people out there who wish you nothing but ill will. I know. There's always the haters, right? Ignore them. 90%. It's the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the people want to see you succeed. The other 20% don't. If they don't get nothing out of it, don't worry about it. It's the 80%, right? They want to see you succeed. They want to be entertained. They want to be able to know that they gain something out of what spending the time that they enjoy with you. Yeah.
One note on that, because of the haters, there are so many sometimes, but most of us feel intimidated by what they're going to think or do. And then that is something like takes you out of your comfort zone because you're worrying about it. And just to share something, somebody told me many, many years ago, they say, well, if somebody is envious of you or don't want you to succeed or wants to put the rug under you, whatever you call it, most likely that person is not capable of many things. So you shouldn't be worried about what that person thinks or can do. Because most likely if they want to do something like that, it's because they're inoperantes, incompetentes.
Okay. Well, it's like what I said earlier about finding the courage. Failure is a big option. Yeah. It happens. Right? Things go wrong. How you adapt, how you respond. Right? So the way I address that, Carlos, and to talk about it is the courage. Right? You got to muster it up. You got to take a deep breath. Say, now, again, only if you have to. If you are a mechanic working in a garage and you're happy changing brakes, no. Right? If that was my profession, there was no reason for me to learn how to speak. Right? Or if I was like my dad. My dad was a truck driver. Tell you a story? Real short. My high school counselor told me I should be a truck driver. I was a C+ student. I was on the football team as a job. Right? She's like, Mr. Torres, I know your father. He's a real supportive guy. Makes a good living. You should follow in his footsteps. I'm like, really? Isn't that setting the bar a little low? I could always be a freaking trucker. No offense, Dad, but it's a good living. He made good money. He was a union guy, so he paid him well. And I was like, let me give this college thing a try. I screw it up. I can go be a trucker. Who's going to ask me about my degree there, right? So I went to start college. So, like you said, the haters in the world. So, the last one is, and this is probably the most difficult thing to do because, as I just said a little while ago, people come here, they want to gain some knowledge, right? Learn something that they can use at their workplace for themselves. They want to have a little bit of entertainment. You don't need a comic stuff. Fluffy I had up there, one picture you guys probably saw, right? You guys know Fluffy, right? You ever seen the comedian? You guys know him? Right? When you go in, you expect to laugh. You're walking in the door almost already laughing because you know the jokes he's going to tell. You already kind of know the skit he does and stuff, right? So, so from an entertainment standpoint, you can't get too carried away, right? I can't be a comic up here. And it's funny, I can't tell jokes. I've tried, right? I'm not good at jokes. Self-deprecating, I can be, right? German Mexican, right? They used to call me a coconut, right? Dark on the outside, white on the inside, right? So, Latino kids can be mean, man, I'm telling you, right? But I'm saying, being self-deprecating, I had confidence in that because that was just me, right? I grew up in a Latino neighborhood, Brain Park, right? All these Latino kids, but no hablo español. Yo soy alemán. Ich bin meine Mutter, ich bin Deutsch sprechen, ich spreche keine Spanish sprechen. They go like, dude, man, that's not Spanish. Like, no. He says, it's like hearing a dog meow, man. That's just not right. Just not right. But you go across those things. So the whole point is to be yourself, right? I don't hide behind the fact that I don't speak Spanish. I let everybody know. Now, some Latinos give me a hard time. How can you run the National Hispanic Sales Network and not speak Spanish?
Yeah, how?
Say,
how? No. I want to know.
Because everybody in this country at least speaks English, and the group that I target don't mind that I don't speak Spanish.
Oh, okay. Good.
Right? Now, in corporate America, that gave me problems, right? Because first thing they wanted to do was throw me into Latino business opportunities. I'm like, dude, man, that's the wrong thing you want me to do. You really don't want me in that neighborhood. Why not, Mr. Torres? Because they won't understand me, dude. And I only know how to say, ¿Dónde está la baño? Right? That's it, right, dude? Right? So I don't speak a lot of Spanish. I sound halfway decent, though, don't I? ¿Está bien?
No, I speak a little bit more.
Yeah, right? But I sound okay. And to the white people, I sound great. Right? You speak Spanish? Oh, yeah, the few words I know I do. Right? But But be yourself. Find a way to get some kind of your personality into the presentation. Don't be a robot. Don't be like the last person you had. You were talking about it earlier, about being different. She's tuning me out, eating the delicious, what do we make? Ceviche. Ceviche. Is it good, the ceviche?
Yeah.
Bravo, bravo. All right. Anyway, you were talking about setting yourself apart, being different.
Yeah.
All right? By being yourself, you are a unique, one-of-a-kind individual. Regardless of what Stephen Hawking says, right? That there's a parallel universe and there's someone exactly like you over there, right? Regardless of what he says. On this planet, you are uniquely individual you. Find a way to present that. What makes you you? What are the characteristics your friends say about you that they enjoy? Neri loves my passion. My overall he understands that I do this not for the financial gain of it. He understands that I do this because I want to see Latinos succeed. Jesus, we are this close to having our own freaking mayor, Latino mayor in this country, right? I always tell people, I love Chewy. I just think he wasn't the right Latino for the job. I love him, but I don't know if he was the right one, right? That was my twist. I wanted a Latino win, but maybe not that one. So luckily I had been Domino's Grove, so I didn't vote, so it didn't matter. But, Neri, and that's one of the reasons he enjoys coming to our events. He enjoys the passion and the excitement I get because he knows I'm not selling you guys anything, right? By the way, based on our current sponsor, the Professional Diversity Network, if anybody here is not a member, go online, log in as a friend of NHSN, right? And your membership is automatically free because they're paying for all our members. So, welcome aboard. Thank you very much. So, but based on that, find a way to be your own person. Bring that little individualization, just like Neri found it in me, right? Find out what makes you unique. What do people like? Has anybody ever done a 360 evaluation? I had this done about 2-3 years ago. I gathered 3 colleagues of mine. One was a friend, knew me very well for a long time. One was a professional person that I had done business with, but didn't know me outside of that. And the other one was a coworker, someone who saw me both professionally and, we went out for beers, hung out with my family. I asked the 3 of them to come and evaluate me, honestly, openly, sincerely. I had a set of questions for them. I sent it to them early, and we sat down. Dinner was on me, and I asked them, blood and guts, no holds barred. Tell me what you think of me, what you think I should be, where I'm at with my career, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. And in the beginning, they were saying all the cordial things. Oh, Freddie, you're great. Right? And I stopped and says, you got to pay your own bill, and I ain't buying drinks if you don't stop this right now. I need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And after the second drink, it's not. You guys know how that works. Freddie, you're just sometimes too loud. Oh, man, you talk to my wife, didn't you? Right? And it started coming. They started telling me things that I needed to work on. I highly recommend it because once you get an idea of how people see you, you can learn how to be yourself. And I know that sounds 180-degree opposite. I know it doesn't make sense, right? It's one of those oxymorons, right? But once you do that, once people are finally comfortable in telling you how they see you and how you're perceived, then you can either act upon it and say, yes, that's how I like to proceed. No, those are some of the things I want to change. Or no, the way they look at me, and I'm going to go forward. Because we can all get better at what we're doing. Yeah, absolutely. Right? And I applaud you guys for coming here tonight and trying to be a little bit of that. And with that being said, I thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed a little bit, and we're open for Q&As. So, yeah.
What will be the new trend to make presentations? Instead of PowerPoint, there's anything in the market right now that you will advise to prepare a good presentation? Different?
It's kind of a PowerPoint, but it's just a black background with one word on it. You ever see those presentations? Mm-hmm. Those make powerful impacts, but you got to be good.
TED Speaks?
Yeah. That's very catchy. You just have one word, black background, white letters, and it actually goes against everything you're taught, right? They usually say white background, black text, right? This is the exact opposite, but because it's just one word, who cares about style? And it's just one go word, and you're on.
So each topic would be a different one?
Each slide is just a different word about where you're going with the presentation, and the simplicity of it is incredible.
Oh, yeah?
Because it works best if you have a singular point you're trying to make. If you're trying to do certain things like I am here, it gets a little more difficult because one word doesn't encapsulate everything. I could probably do it if I had a little more time. 40 hours wasn't enough. But it's something you have to practice very hard, right? Second, old school. People actually like it when you pull out the board, start writing, and going back and forth with that. People actually tend to be more engaged when they see something physically be written. It's one of those little studies that people show when something is being written. It's like it's being created at the moment, and there's this sense of ownership because it was done right in front of them. All right? So those are two of the points that during my reading and research that came across. Another one is, and this one I'll never try because I just don't have the guts. I know it's the courage and be brave and all that, but this one's just about. You basically go through the presentation I just did in about 10 minutes. And it's just click, 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 and you just start rambling with each slide you're talking. And it goes by fast. And it's not rushed, but it's in sync with your presentation. And you're just clicking as you're going, and you're talking. And it's like timing, like almost like a movie. You're timing your verbs to what the pictures are, but you don't see it. And if you ever get a chance, and my apologies for not being able to recall what that style is, it's someone's name. It'll come to me afterwards because I wasn't prepared for that question. Thank you very much. But when you see it done on a video on YouTube, it's incredible how they time this thing and the amount of skill and timing.
But it's a pointer, kind of.
It's like one of these things.
But it's virtual. It's like wireless, kind of.
Yeah, it's this thing. And they're just going click, 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 click as they're talking. And now we're going to be talking about passion and persuasion and clarity. Clarity provides it, and every time they click, it's the next subject, and they don't even have to look. And each subject is done in almost like a 30-second increment. It's extremely powerful when done right, but it takes a lot of practice. A lot of practice. So, any other questions?
Well, with that presentation, the audience, it's not too fast for them to pick up on it?
Yeah, part of the audience, right? But the other part, the 80-20 that were there to be engaged, they're sitting at the edge of their chair because they know if they blink, they're going to miss it. So, again, the subject matter has to be on point, right? You can't be talking about how to groom a dog, right? I mean, come on, how exciting can you make that? Really, even I know my passion would have a hard time.